busted their case against Sean Diddy Combs. This is part 3, and I've been talking about each and every element that the prosecution has presented before the jury, allegedly, of the things that the entertainment mogul has done. As a disclaimer, during the course of this video, it includes descriptions of physical and sexual violence. Okay, I've covered several parts. I talked about the sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution, allegedly. I also talked in depth about the racketeering conspiracy, the RICO charge. It's one single RICO charge, but this charge is important because they allege that Combs used his business empire and his employees to hide criminal activities. According to the indictment, those, quote, members and associates engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other crimes, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, end quote. Now let's talk about the arson charge. I talked about the forced labor and the kidnapping. Now I'm going to talk about the arson aspect. Did the prosecution meet this element? So according to NPR, musician Scott Miscody, who records as Kid Cudi, took the stand to testify that in December 2011, while he was romantically involved with Cassie Ventura, there was a break-in at his home. On the stand, he said he and Ventura ended their relationship because he was concerned for his personal safety. Quote, "I knew Sean Combs was violent," end quote, he testified. The following month, someone set fire to Mesa Cudi's Porsche, which was parked just outside of his home. Years later, he said, Combs pulled him aside at an event and apologized, quote, "for everything," end quote. The prosecution also called officers from the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Fire Department, whose testimony aligned with Ms. Cudi's about the break-in and arson. LAFD arson investigator Lance Jimenez said that the fire was caused by a Molotov cocktail, and what he opened was a, quote, targeted, end quote, incident. LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio testified that while responding to a call about a possible break-in at McCuddy's residence, he observed a Cadillac Escalade in front of the home, and that the Escalade was registered to Combs's recording label. While she was on the stand, Clark said Combs forced her to accompany him to Ms. Cuddy's house, saying, quote, "we're going to go kill him," end quote. She also testified that Combs threatened to kill her if she went to the authorities, and that he said he would kill her. Ms. Cuddy said, and Ventura, if Ms. Cuddy told police he suspected Combs of having been in his home. Additionally, she said she witnessed Combs brutally beating Ventura after he learned of a relationship with Ms. Cuddy. Wow, Ms. Cuddy, rather. That's pretty heavy. That's some heavy stuff there. So what about the bribery element of the case? It seems like all this stuff is raising a lot of reasonable doubt. On June 3rd, Eddie Garcia, a former security supervisor at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, testified that Combs bribed him and his colleagues with $100,000 delivered in a paper bag in exchange for the 2016 hotel security video. Garcia also testified that he signed a non-disclosure agreement that called for the destruction of evidence and for Garcia's silence. Non-disclosing agreements, or NDAs, do not prevent people from testifying truthfully in legal proceedings. Is that really true? Because NDAs, when it comes to politicians, for some reason, they appear to be valid. According to Garcia, Christina Karam was also involved in that negotiation for the security tape, bustering the prosecution's claims of racketeering. The jury also viewed texts between Ventura and Karan. Ventura wrote, quote, "No one deserves to get dragged by their hair," end quote. Mia also testified that she believed a former security employee nicknamed D-Rock tried to bribe her after Ventura filed a civil lawsuit against Combs. The jury also saw a bazaar of texts and phone calls that Diddy, Karam, and D-Rock sent Mia in that time period, including one in which D-Rock wrote, quote, "I know you didn't ask for anything, but I can send my sister a gift," end quote. So what about the obstruction of justice charge? Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina, testified that her family paid Combs $20,000 in 2011 to prevent him from releasing sexually explicit videos of Cassie after Combs learned that she had begun dating Miss Cuddy. She testified that Combs paid her back days later. Testimony was supported by that of former Combs' Enterprises Chief Financial Officer Derek Ferguson, who confirmed that he had seen a payment of $20,000 from the Ventura family to Combs. A former stylist for both Combs and Ventura named DeDante Nash also buttressed Regina Ventura's testimony. Nash testified that along with witnessing Combs physically attacking Cassie Ventura, he also witnessed Combs threatening to release sex tapes of her, including sending them to the places her parents worked in order to get them fired. Now, it is the defense's job, obligation, and responsibility to destroy the credibility of each and every one of the witnesses who testified against Sean Diddy Combs. That is the job of the defense. And it's also the job of the defense attorney to raise reasonable doubt. And if one scintilla of reasonable doubt is raised, that could cause the entire jury to do one of three things. Either you're going to quit him of all charges, find him guilty of all charges, or it's going to be a mistrial. And if a mistrial is granted, then guess what? They got to start all over again. That means he could not come to a conclusion for or against. That's why it's so important that defense attorneys take good, copious notes and that they pay attention to everything that has been said. You have to dissect and go through each and every alleged element of the alleged crime or crimes, because the life of your client is on the line. And your client has put his life in your hands, so to speak. And often, many times, a lot of people get railroaded in the judicial system because they don't have the money of Sean Diddy Combs. And they can't fight against this type of criminal element coming from the prosecution side. So you hire the best lawyers you can possibly find, and you can't spare no expense. What price can you put on freedom? None. At what cost? You do it all. Costs 100 million, 500 million, $500 million. You do what you have to do so you can walk free. You can always make money over again. But once that jury finds you guilty, you can't make any money from behind bars, because all your business partners, they're going to dissolve any type of partnership that they have with you. What can you do? You're locked up. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Once you get behind those iron bars, you only have but so much freedom, so much say so. There's only but so much you can do. You can yell, holler, scream, kick, curse, get on the phone, and demand people to do things. But guess what? If you don't have the money to fight against it, you're stuck. So in conclusion, during the course of the trial so far, the jury has heard many other allegations against Combs, including many episodes of physical abuse perpetrated against girlfriends and employees and rampant drug use. Well, he admitted that he had a drug problem and that he was getting help for it. We all saw the video that he made that was released on Instagram. Remember that infamous video? The defense has maintained that while Combs may be an abuser and involved in toxic and jealous relationships, and while the jury may not agree with his lifestyle, none of those accusations or charges against him in this federal trial. Well, guess what? Whether they're against him or not, it all comes into play. So it remains to be seen how the defense attorney is going to mount their defense for Combs. I'll keep you updated. Never surrender. Never quit. Let me go to the comment section. I need to tell you something. Well, you're going to have to tell me right here on camera. So they need to dismantle Hollywood and rap culture. That's not going to happen. You want to know why? Because there's a certain group of people that's making untold billions of dollars off of exploitation. So until next time, never surrender, never quit.